National identity, I think, is a surprisingly ambiguous concept. I mean, you might think that we all know what our national identity is, but even take my own case, I'm a citizen of the United Kingdom. I suppose I was brought up to think of myself as British, but I fairly quickly became aware that there were other people who were British but preferred to call themselves Scottish or Welsh, whereas I was English. And that for foreigners, the two terms were interchangeable, but within the United Kingdom, they're not. So you have concepts of citizenship which are based on where you're born, and you have also, in some parts of the world, concepts of citizenship which are based on essentially who your parents were and what your ethnicity is, although that in itself is a problematic term. Now we have changing demography in most advanced industrial societies for a complicated series of reasons, but partly to do with longer life expectancy, lower birth rates, partly to do with globalization. We have large numbers of people coming in. Maybe they weren't expected to stay, but most of them do. Their children and grandchildren grow up in the country, and yet they are still seen as being somehow extrinsic to that country. And this is a problem for them, but it is a problem for the country itself. So inevitably you think, well, sooner or later these people are going to be citizens. It's not tenable to have a large body of people living in a democracy, but not having the right to vote and otherwise participate in that democracy. So then people start to say, okay, they can be citizens, but then they must be like us. And what does like us mean? Because it's not actually as though the national character of a country was a given. Actually, of course, different people in the same country are different, and different people, the same people, or even people living in the same place at different times in the same country are different. It's evolving, it's changing all the time. And one of the ways it evolves and changes is that new people come in and they bring their culture, their ideas with them, and that can be absorbed into the national culture and the national identity. So I think one purpose of this seminar is to remind people of that and say, it's not that you have a completely God-given, unchanging national identity and that anybody else who wants to live in your country must conform to it. The real situation is that for a variety of reasons, you have allowed or welcomed or encouraged these people to come into your country. They are going to be part of it for the foreseeable future. And while indeed they are going to make and have to make considerable adjustments to living in a new place, the nature of the society is going to change. And you need to think also about how your identity can adapt to accommodate them. Now, this is a very difficult message for a lot of people to accept. They see it as being, oh, they chose to come here. Why should we adjust to them? Why don't they adjust to us? But I think what we are learning from this kind of exchange is that there has to be a process of mutual adjustment if this is going to work.